Well, this is nice having you both here in the studio. Thank you for taking some time out today. I'd like to start with the basics, which is tell us a little bit about what you do and also how you got into it, if that's okay. So, Florence, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the fintech industry for just over 5 years now. My current role is product manager at Moneyinfo, but I started there in product support, which was kind of a bit of a role made up for me when I first started. Um, They'd seen my CV, really liked me, and kind of seen like the techie angle that I'd kind of always had with like everything I've done in my life. Um, and although they'd filled the roles on the support team, they're like, no, we need her anyway. So they got me in directly onto the product side, which was great. And then from there, I kind of worked up to be a business analyst. And then earlier this year, the opportunity to move into the product manager role came up, and I put myself forward for it and got it.
Good for you. And there?
So I'm a business consultant for Jigsawtree. So we are a fintech consultancy firm. We help lots of financial advisors with their CRM, their back offices, and everything in between, really. So the way that I got into the role, my mum, weirdly enough, has been in financial services my whole life, and she did a project with my now boss, and sort of made that connection. And Chris then said that if your daughter's anything like you, I think I want to talk to her. So we had a very quick conversation, and she said, I want you to come and work with me. And I started as a project manager, and in 3 years, I've gone from a trainer project manager through to business consultant.
So that's great because then we've got both the companies. We've had an episode before around why the Women in Finance Collective has been formed. Obviously, Moneyinfo and Jigsawtree coming together, and this is like the next gen bit, isn't it, of that? So great to get a younger perspective. What do you think of or perhaps your own challenges or what's brought you to the network in a way? Like, hopefully this isn't an issue that you need, but I'm intrigued as to what's drawing you in, apart from the bosses telling you it's a great idea.
Well, for me, being on the product team, I'm one of the only women on the team that is a woman. At Moneyinfo, all the other ladies, they sit more on like the client services side of things. So for me, it's like a nice chance to actually interact with other women that kind of do more similar things to what I do as well. So I love it for that sense and just community that you can get around it.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit different in terms of the fact that with my role, I do a lot of travel. I speak to a lot of boardrooms. I speak to directors all day, every day. And as great as that is, there is such a male domination in those rooms that I go to. I turn up on site and often I'm the only woman in the room. And that's fine to a degree. The thing I find is that I can sometimes have a little bit of a slightly different treatment because I am a woman and also because of my age. So, sort of demonstrating actually that's got nothing to do with it, I'm still going to do a good job, is really important to me. And being able to sort of voice that and help empower other women and have them help empower me is just brilliant. So that's one of the reasons I love the collective.
And what do you think? I mean, yourselves, I'm still putting you in the younger women category very firmly, unlike myself. But we're looking for in a career. What does financial services and particularly the fintech bit of it? What is it offering?
I mean, it does offer stability in a lot of ways, I think. Financial services are, I think, increasing. That 1% is getting bigger.
What do you mean by the
more
1%?
The 1% of people who are able to need a financial advisor, people who earn enough to get that 1% earnings. So I think that is increasing. People are finding more wealth. There is more available. So financial advisors are going to be needed still. As much as AI is important, it doesn't give you that holistic whole advice piece that financial advisors can give you. So I think there is a level of stability in terms of the fact that this is going to be needed for a long time. And I also think that as things increase, people either get on board with technology or they don't. And Flo and I are definitely here, Flo more from the creative side, but me from a supporting side, because people need it at the end of the day.
And especially in a digital sense as well, because we're moving more and more towards that every day, and especially with AI coming in now as well, we're only going to see more and more people go towards tech. So being able to have that financial aspect, the technical aspect to go along with the financial, it's really, really important and just allows people to get the advice they need in the way that suits them in a digital world now. So being able to be part of that and assist with creating the technology that people use for such a vital service I think it's brilliant.
And you talked there about you're still operating what feels like a largely male environment. But do you feel optimistic for change, or is it changing? Was it as you
Yeah.
expected? I think
Absolutely. I mean, just today we've got a new starter joining the team, which I can't be there to meet,
well,
unfortunately.
thank you for coming.
Who's our
Apologies
UI
to the new
UX
starter
designer.
in arrears.
But she's female. She's joining, so excited to have another woman on the product team with me now as well. So it does change. That's a very colloquial kind of personal one for me, but it is changing everywhere as well.
Yeah. As much as I do find that there are often boards of directors and things like that who I speak to that are fully male, that I find that if there aren't women in the room with me, the men are at least listening. There's less interruptions that I'm facing. I remember a year or so ago, I had a man point blank say, "I don't understand why you're talking to me," and it's like, oh.
That just sounds like rudeness, regardless
Because
of
I've
gender.
got the answer you need. So let's work together. Let's get it done, and let's do what you need. So it ended up being a brilliant project, but those quits are still there, and that's fine. But there is a lot of positive movement. I think it just needs a bit of a push.
So what skills and perspectives do you think you need to be successful then in the current roles that you're in? And what you share with others?
Ooh. I think you need tough skin.
Yeah, definitely tough skin and the confidence to put yourself out there. Especially working within a tech team. If you don't know what you're talking about, then people don't want to listen to you. You have to be able to both know your stuff and speak about it in a way that assures everyone else that
Do you think
know
that's
what you're on
different from
about
just
as
being a
well.
good employee? Does it
Yeah.
go beyond being more than just a good employee?
I think so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think, I can't speak for Flo because obviously we're in very different roles, but from a consulting side, a lot of what I do is problem solving. And those problems don't have an A or B or a black and white answer. They have, well, we could do it this way or we could do it that way. Which is the most efficient? Well, they're both same time, but what's going to be the best result for us? And being able to look at that and say, right, well, this will give you that reportability versus this won't is really important. And to be able to look at that is definitely something that falls on me and not on just being a good employee from that perspective, I think. And also doing your research. I find that I'm a little bit of a control freak and a little bit of a perfectionist, as I'm sure most women probably are in our industry, which just means that I end up researching in the evenings, which is really sad. And looking at tech things in the evenings, but it's because I need to know the answer. If ever I'm faced with someone saying, well, what's the answer to this? And I don't know it, that's going to infuriate me. I need to know what the answer is so that I'm ready for it. And I think that's just going above and beyond slightly than just the good employee side.
What barriers then do you feel, perceive, actually exist, or in terms of your ambitions?
I think it's a hard one to answer on that front because
There might not be any.
where I
It's a
work
slightly leading question.
with having Tess as managing director, she's a very strong woman. She's been in the industry for a very long time. It means that the company that I work at, if you are going to be the type that's not going to be supportive of women and helping them with their development, the chances are you wouldn't be sticking around because it would be very, very evident from your interviews with the managing director that you weren't going to be lasting very long there, to put it fairly bluntly. So I feel like I've been really supportive with like my progression, and every time that I've been saying, right, I want to take the next step, I want to go further, I've had that support around me in order to do that. But again, kind of bringing back to confidence again, there's been that element of having to build up my own confidence to want to take those next steps as well. There've been times where I've kind of like looked at what I've needed to do and gone, oh God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. It's looks quite challenging or difficult. I've not experienced this in the past. So having like a role model there that I've been able to go to and ask those questions, go, right, where do I go with this now, has been really useful and has meant that I've then had the confidence to want to take the next step. Not quite answering your question, but still kind of
I would
where
think that's a
I'm
great
at with my
answer,
career
yeah.
anyway.
I found that actually the hardest thing for me was finding my own boundaries. So in a lot of places, I will jump as high as I'm told, things like that. I'm very much whatever the client needs, that's fine. But actually, working with Chris has made me realise that there are certain things I can say no to. You know, I don't have to run over late and things like that. I can say, no, this is the end of the on-site day. That's it. I don't have to work through my lunch and things like that, because actually the clients don't necessarily need that. Sometimes they just want a bit of extra hand holding, and sometimes it's ego fluffing. And setting my own boundaries has been really difficult for me, but having Chris in my corner, telling me to do that, showing me how and demonstrating that and saying, look, no, you don't need to do that, has been probably the hardest bit. But
Hard to break away from being a people pleaser,
it's
isn't it?
really hard, especially when it's just ingrained in you.
Yes,
Yeah.
because it absolutely is as a woman.
Yeah, 100%. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
You talked a little bit about role models. Do you either of you make use of a mentor? I mean, you've mentioned your bosses, but just outside of the sort of formal structures, is mentoring something that you use or find useful? This is a question here, so if the answer's no.
So I've not had like personal experience with that one, no.
I've not got a dedicated mentor. However, through connections in the industry, through going to conferences and the Women in Finance Collective and things like that, there are women that I know that if I had questions, I could reach out to any one of them, and they have always been so helpful if ever I need to. You know, whether if it's, oh, how should I deliver training for this, or whether if it's, is that the right move for me strategically, things like that. I know that there are plenty of people that I could reach out to. I have to say though, my role model, my mentor is always going to be my mum. She is a fierce woman who understands my job, the industry, and everything in between. So I wouldn't really look much further than her. But if I needed a slightly less biased opinion, I probably would still go to my boss.
If a young woman's listening right now and wondering, you know, whether finance is firm or not, what would you say?
I'd say go for it. Like, the only way that you'll find out is to try. Like, you've got to just give it a go. If it doesn't work out and if it's not for you, then you've not really lost anything. You've learnt that it's not for you and you can try something else in the future. But the only way to succeed is just to try and, you know, get yourself into it, get yourself stuck in, give it a go, and experiment as much as you can, trying different elements out as well. No one's going to say to you, oh, no, you this is your role, you have to stay within it. If you're asking for additional work to try new areas of the industry, there will be people that want to support you and help you to give you that chance so that you can find what works for you.
I find that in every aspect of life, whether if that be work or elsewhere, you just need to be unapologetically you. And that very much stands for being a woman in finance as well, and in FinTech and consultancy and all of them. I just think, be you, do the job that you are happy with doing. And if someone doesn't like it, that might not be the right place for you. That doesn't mean the industry is wrong. There are, you know, company and, you know, business ethos and the industry ethos are completely different. So there is really positive strides being made, but you've just got to continue doing you and carry it on that way.
So what's your own vision then for the future? How would you like to see either the industry change or, you know, your own ambitions within it?
Well, I want to see more women in the boardrooms. I'd like to see more women in the industry where I go and visit on site, and there's more than one woman. And I often find that when there is a woman in the room for a room of directors, it might still be that they're not necessarily listened to. So to have every voice and opinion be heard as an equal is the most important thing to me. Don't get me wrong, if a woman isn't right for that role, they're not right for it. Don't give them it because they're a woman. Give them it because they deserve it. So just making sure that people are accepted for the right roles, considered for the right roles, and have an equal opportunity.
Yeah, I can only back up that sentiment, really. It would be great to see us represented more. At the end of the day, we make up 50% of the population, so why we wouldn't make up 50% or thereabouts of any role, really. It's beyond me, but that's what I want to see us working towards, is just that equality across the board.
I'm interested in your broader perspectives as young professionals. It's tough, isn't it, at the moment out there for trying to get on that career ladder and to progress? I mean, what do you hear or see or think?
Yeah, so I mean, from my perspective, I find that there's stereotypes everywhere. In every aspect of life, every industry, every work, things like that. Um, the thing I find is that a lot of the time, I think people my age or thereabouts are branded as lazy and don't want to work, or snowflakes or any of that stuff. And
Right.
to be honest, I find it really aggravating. Um, I've got a really strong work ethic. I know I can only speak for myself, but I can also see in my friends, we've got really strong work ethics. We work really hard, and I think Chris would, as my boss, would very much agree that there's not many people around my age that work as hard as I do, or older, and it's kind of irrelevant, that age band. Um, and I also find that ageism is very much a thing still,
Yeah.
massively. I've been overlooked for roles before. I've been, you know, not ignored and things like that, and definitely not by Chris. In previous lives, just sort of pushed to the side in terms of my voice, purely because it's a younger voice and it's a female voice. I mean, it can be really quite irritating, because you have so much to offer, and especially when you put in all that work, and from a work perspective, you're not respected the same way as people next to you who just have a few more years, maybe haven't worked as hard to get there. I can't speak for everybody, but from my perspective, ageism is definitely still a thing, as well as not having that equal rights for women in work industries too.
Yeah, that's fuel to the fire, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It is. I'll back that ageism point as well. It's definitely something that I've seen, not like necessarily at my own company, but like I've definitely got the impression when I've spoken to others where it's been, oh, you've got into this quite young, haven't you? And they're like, yes, but that doesn't mean that I don't know what I'm talking about and that I can't bring something valuable to the conversation. At the end of the day, there has to be a handover to the next generation for things to succeed, and we can bring a valuable perspective to the conversation.
I think particularly something like FinTech, where
Yeah,
digital natives, you're probably way more. You're not gone on the transition of financial services as it was when we all had like paper checkbooks and things like So, as a consumer and that voice being closer to a target audience, it's got to have some value, hasn't it?
oh, absolutely, it does. And I think it helps with being able to like translate kind of how you talk about technology to those that aren't necessarily so familiar with it as well is like a really, really important skill to have that I feel like as younger generations we are pretty skilled at doing just naturally because we've had to be there to help like our parents or our grandparents using tech anyway. So we're already equipped to be able to go into those conversations and go, right, so this is the way you used to do things, this is how you did it on paper, but here's the digital approach and here's how it can work and how it can benefit you, and I can explain it to you very, very simply in a way that will make it make sense for you as well.
And to be fair, on the flip side, if I were lucky enough to need a financial advisor and they brought me a piece of paper to sign, I'd be shocked. I'd be like, what on earth? Where's your iPad? Where's the portal? Things like that. I don't want pieces of paper.
Yeah, your
That's not what the
expectations are
FCA
different.
wants.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect to be presented with that. And I think that's the way the industry's going. The FCA needs regulation, recording, things like that. I mean, it's just getting more and more difficult, if we're being honest, to be a financial advisor, based on everything that needs to be recorded. But there's an easy way to record it. Do it digitally. If everything's done digitally, you don't have to go out of your way to scan things in and stuff like that because it's already saved. Why is it so difficult, I find? But
It shouldn't be.
it isn't.
It really should. It doesn't have to be as complicated as they make it.
I mean,
If
head in
everything
hand
could be
that you're still
digital.
working with clients involving paper. I don't even want to go there.
Exactly.
So,
It's not worth it.
Spreadsheets for review dates. Oh, no.
You shouldn't. Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have the younger voice presented. Thank you for taking time out. You clearly
having
work
us.
very hard, so I really appreciate it. And
Thanks for
it's been an
having
absolute
us.
pleasure having you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.